Can everyone please head to their seats? We're gonna get started soon. Oh, but he's going after. Okay. Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for being here tonight. This is a very special meeting indeed. We have many meetings every year, but tonight we are honoring retirees who have spent much of their career in this district giving to our kids and our community, and it is a great pleasure to be doing this tonight. So with that, I'm going to head up to the microphone to start the retiree ceremony, and Mary Ann is going to join me, but first we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. So welcome and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you especially to the retirees who are here, who have given to this district so much, and now tonight is our chance to give back to you, and thank you. So since it's hot, I'm not going to waste any time. I appreciate you all being here. We are going to start tonight with Karen Bagley, and I would ask that she come up to the front. Welcome. Karen began her career in Derry in 1994 as a special education assistant at Grinnell Elementary and ended her 27 years of service in the district at South Range Elementary. She is known for going above and beyond every day. Her caring personality allows students to build a positive rapport with her, which in turn builds their confidence and enhances their language skills. Karen, thank you so much for all you've done for your district. Next, I'd like to call Stephen Becker to the front of the room. Stephen is not here tonight, but we'll honor him anyway. Stephen started as a custodian in our district in 2015, and in a little over a year's time became the lead custodian at East Derry Memorial Elementary School, where he finished his career in 2021. Stephen was known for his wealth of knowledge, was a problem solver, and could fix almost anything. His leadership skills and willingness to help made him a huge asset for East Derry Memorial Elementary School. Sue Broskis, could you please come up to the front? Welcome.
Thank you.
Susan began her career in 1993 as the Director of Food Service, and for 28 years has served our children with the highest nutritional quality meals in a clean, cheerful, and personal atmosphere. Prior to coming to the district, Susan worked as Chief Nutrition Chef Instructor for Johnson & Wales University Culinary Division, Southern New Hampshire University Culinary Institute, Manchester Skill Center, and has been the instructor for sanitation courses in the state. Susan oversees the operation of our food service program throughout all 7 schools, while keeping the district in compliance with federal nutrition guidelines and financial regulations. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Jane Boyle. Jane was hired in 1985 as a resource teacher and has worked at Floyd, Grinnell, and South Range Elementary Schools. Since then, she has been promoted to Assistant Director of Special Services in 2002, and in 2018, promoted to Director of Student Services. Her dedication extended beyond our district with help to out-of-district, charter, and private school students. Jane has done an outstanding job juggling students, parents, teachers, paraprofessionals, and administrators, all with ease, and may I add, a smile. Throughout her career, she has served on multitudes of committees and volunteered at numerous events. Jane's energy level has not declined in 36 years. Her enthusiasm, in addition to her kindness, is contagious, and she will be greatly missed. Thank you very much. Is Alfred Gallo here? Al began working in the district as a custodian in 1997. Most of Al's career was at Grinnell Elementary School, where he was a night custodian and later became team leader. Al has consistently been dependable and takes extreme pride in his work. He is always willing to help out to meet the many requests that require his immediate attention on a daily basis. As a team leader, he works hard on building a team that works well together. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call up Kara Gray. Welcome. Kara started her career in Derry in 1986 as a 3rd grade teacher at East Derry Memorial. She left to pursue other interests, but thankfully returned to us in 1997 to teach computer study skills at West Runningbrook. In 1998, she returned to East Derry Memorial and continued teaching until 2005. In 2006, Kara transferred to Ernest P. Barca and became the Elementary Integration Specialist for the district. In 2008, she became the assistant principal at East Derry Memorial until 2012. That year, she became the federal projects manager for the district. Kara is well respected and understands the importance of collaboration with others. She has always had great enthusiasm for her various positions she has held, has always been very professional, and will be greatly missed. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call up Janet Hornsby. Welcome. Janet started teaching in Derry in 1985. Throughout her career, Janet has been a PACE teacher, an elementary classroom teacher, and a middle school math teacher. She has taught at most of the elementary schools, but most of those years have been at Grinnell. And since 2013, she has been the PACE teacher at South Range. Janet is known for her strong classroom management skills, and she has high expectations for her students. She does a great job meeting the different learning styles of her students and has a great rapport with them. Thank you very much. Christopher Kellen. Chris began his career with the Derry Cooperative School District in 1995 as a counselor. In 1997, Chris became the Director of Special Services, which he embraced and excelled at, until 2016 when he became the Assistant Superintendent. Chris is willing to go the distance in advocating for and defending the quality of services children deserve. His advocacy is commendable. He has implemented amazing programs for students with special needs, which the district will be forever grateful for. Now I'd like to call up Dan LaFleur. Dan began his career in Derry in 1986 as an elementary teacher at East Derry Memorial. In 1995, he moved to South Range as a teaching assistant principal, and in 1996, he became an assistant principal at West Runningbrook. In 1997, Dan became the principal of Grinnell until 2005. When Ernest P. Barca opened, Dan transferred and became its first principal. From teacher to principal, Dan has been highly respected and loved. He has been an effective leader and created a caring community. His commitment and dedication is commendable, and he can't walk down the halls of Barca without many, many students reaching out to him. His care and attention for the students and staff has earned him a reputation as being an outstanding principal, and he will be very much missed. Fran Leach. Fran began her career in 2005 as a teacher at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School, where she has taught ever since. Fran is someone who is devoted to her craft and is often seen chatting with colleagues or administrators about teaching. She is eager to share ideas and genuinely interested in learning, which is what made her such an outstanding teacher. Thank you. I would now like to call to the stage Cynthia Najem. Cindy began her career in Derry as a reading assistant at East Derry Memorial in 1996. In 1997, she became an elementary teacher. She taught at East Derry until 2005 when she transferred to Barca. Cindy is known for her impressive professionalism and a commitment to meeting the needs of all students in her classroom. She has a high level of enthusiasm and energy and always displays a positive attitude with her students and colleagues. Thank you very much. Tracy Umet. Tracy has taught at Grinnell as a reading specialist since 2017. She has excellent teaching skills and has helped students to develop reading skills and strategies that give them the opportunity to become confident and successful readers. Thank you very much. I would now like to call up Dorothy Peters. Dottie started teaching in Derry in 2001 at East Derry Memorial. She then became a PACE teacher at Derry Village in 2002, where she has taught since then. She has a great understanding of her students' academic and social needs. Her involvement in extracurricular activities is extensive. She is commended for her experience, dedication, positive attitude, and enthusiasm to work with students. Thank you and congratulations. Linda Rosinski. Linda started her teaching career at East Derry Memorial in 1986, where she taught for 2 years. She decided to pursue teaching in another district, but luckily in 1990 returned to the Derry Cooperative School District, where she stayed for 30 more years. Linda was very passionate about her teaching. She referred to her classroom as her happy place. Linda was very involved in the school district community, joining committees, clubs, PTAs, and volunteer programs. Thank you, Linda. I'd now like to call up Jane St. Amand. Jane began as a reading assistant at Grinnell in 1999. In 2001, she became a special education teacher at Derry Village, where she has taught ever since. Jane works hard to meet the needs of her students. She has also worked with colleagues to implement new programs that have been impressive for her students' academic improvements. Thank you very much for your service, and you will be very much missed. Kristen Thibodeau. Kristen began her career with the Derry School District in 1997 as school psychologist. In 2010, Kristen became the chief psychologist for the district. Kristen's expertise provides insights into students' educational needs, assists staff members in clarifying difficult issues, supports and trains new staff, and works directly with administration. Kristen is a true professional who has been dedicated to our school district for 24 years and whose service will be much missed. Thank you. I'd now like to call up Kathy Thermopoulos. Welcome. Kathy has been a school nurse in Derry since 2000. She started at Derry Village, transferred to West Runningbrook in 2002, and then in 2017, she moved to Ernest P. Barca. Kathy has been a tremendous asset to the district and a dedicated staff member. She maintains an excellent working relationship with staff, parents, and students. She is always respectful of her students, has a positive outlook, and always has an upbeat attitude. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're welcome. Nancy Thompson. Nancy has been an assistant in the Derry School District since 1985, and except for 1 year, her 36-year career has been at South Range Elementary. Nancy's loyalty and dedication to the South Range school community is valued and appreciated by all. She has always gone above and beyond her role as an assistant, working hard to build positive relationships with students. Her enthusiasm for education, her concern and love for the students, and her interest and involvement in what education should be all add up to make her a valuable asset as an assistant. Thank you for your service. And our last retiree tonight is Lori Watson. Lori started her teaching career at South Range Elementary in 2000. In 2005, she transferred to Ernest P. Barca Elementary and found her home for the next 16 years until she retired. Lori is known for having strong organizational and classroom management skills. She has an engaging, positive approach with her students, which has been very successful in their learning and development. Lori has been an active staff member, involving herself in many clubs, field trips, and volunteers at most school events. She has also been the coordinator of Ernest P. Barca's Meals for the Sunshine Soup Kitchen. So as you can see, all of these people gave many, many years to our district. They will be greatly missed. So I'd like everyone that's here to stand up one more time so that we can all honor you. Thank you all.
So good evening, I'm Mary Ann, in case you didn't know. Mac, and those are probably the nice things people call me. So on behalf of the entire Derry Cooperative School District, including all of our students and families, tonight is but a simple and safe way to honor you. You can tune into the school board meeting when you get home to hear the rest of how I have to honor you and what I have to say, because it's written down. So that way, when you go home, I get you to listen to the rest of the board meeting. That's the little caveat I have for you tonight. But with all, seriousness, this is not good. Our sense of gratitude to all of you, including your families, is deep. This job can't be done in a silo. This job can't be done in isolation. And students are at the center of all we do. We know it can't be done in a silo because we need those surrounding us to support us. We are better at what we do, and with what we do for students, with those we collaborate with, both at school, at home, in our community. For that we are stronger, for that we are better, and for that we are better with students. We are better leaders. I am a better leader, and I'm a better learner. I'm a better teacher because of those of you who are here tonight and those who still remain in the Derry School District. That being said, you'll always be part of the Derry School District, always be part of our family. And I believe that's why so many of you have stayed in the Derry Cooperative School District, because we are just that, family. We are a strong family, we are a united family. In times of difficulty and in times of strength, we give each other strength, and most importantly, we give our students strength. It's a great place to be, it's a great place to work. I tell all new hirees that, and I believe they come to know and believe that in their own time. So for all of your years of service, for all of the times you've endured, both of the great times and sometimes the very difficult times, as in the past year and a third, the unexpected times, thank you. Thank you is a very deep word. It is filled with much gratitude, as I said, on behalf of all of us. And thank you for learning, growing, connecting with our students and with one another. And thank you most importantly for leaving footprints on the hearts of our students forever. So if we can, again, one more time, say thank you to our retirees and your families for all that you have done and all the impressions and memories that you have left with our students forever. I would like everyone to acknowledge our retirees one more time. Our food service department has food to go over there, so I hope that you, I don't know, somebody wants me to stop talking. So food to go over there. We have drinks and cupcakes. And thank you to our food service department, our custodians who set up tonight, Kathleen Holtzman. You've done a fine job tonight, so thank you as always. And Dr. Dancy, and as always, Mr. Minkle, always behind the scenes, never taking credit for what he does, but always there, and he doesn't like the credit he gets, but certainly deserving. So to all of you, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will be asking some of you in the morning what I said when I go back to my superintendent's report. So thank you again for joining us, and always a part of the Derry Cooperative School District family. Good night.
Everyone is now welcome to partake of the food by the side tables. We will have a 15-minute recess before the regular meeting begins. Thank you for that reminder. Okay. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Derry School District. We are now going to start with the approval of minutes, non-public minutes for May 19th, non-public minutes for May 25th, and public minutes for May 25th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
One abstention for the May 19 non-public.
Oh, could you repeat that? Kathleen was having trouble
Yep.
hearing it.
One abstention for May 19 non-public.
Is that you, Derek? If so, make it 2.
That would be 2, Kathleen. Lynn was also not there. So the next item on our agenda is the Pinkerton Academy update. Jude will be providing that update, but he will be doing so remotely. Okay, so we will come back to Mr. Farley. For now, we're going to be moving on to the Pinkerton Academy liaison for next year, and I'm going to pass the microphone to Marianne.
Okay, good evening. We have a new Pinkerton representative, student liaison, elected by Pinkerton for the 21-22 school year. So I would like to welcome Jacob Labrada of Derry, and Jacob will be the new Pinkerton Academy 21-22 student liaison. So we welcome Jacob if you're watching, and Jacob will soon join us as the Pinkerton Academy student liaison.
We look forward to meeting him next year. And for now, I will pass it back to Marianne for personnel.
All right, I have a couple of resignations this evening. I ask you to accept the resignation of Holly Webster as from music teacher from Grinnell Elementary School, and Isis Santiago, special education teacher at East Derry Memorial Elementary School.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
No nominations. Okay, we have nominations this evening as well. I have several nominations this evening, the last of which will present. Is Jean here? Okay, I'll go through the nominations in order. I have Jennifer Case, elementary school teacher at Ernest P. Barca. I have Tara Furlong, special education teacher at Memorial. Margaret Gilbert, special education teacher at Grinnell Elementary. Sarah Hicks, elementary school teacher at Ernest P. Barca. I have Suzanne Ciccarello, elementary school teacher at Ernest P. Barca. And Janine Metro, these two were hand-carried. Janine will be the early childhood education program coordinator at DEEP. And I believe Janine is here. So before those are approved, I would ask Janine Metro to come up, and with our Director of Student Services, Jane Boyle, and I would ask that Janine come up to the board and speak a little about your background. And Jane, would you mind introducing Janine?
Good evening. We're here tonight to welcome Janine Metro in her new role as coordinator for the preschool program. Janine comes to us as a teacher in the Derry Cooperative School District. She has an abundant knowledge when it comes to curriculum and developmental needs for students. She's outstanding at communication and being an outlet for parents, and she's such a good listener and a wonderful teacher. So this new role is going to be just a wonderful addition for the school district. So I'd like to introduce Janine Metro so she can tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi everyone, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm very excited to take on this role and work with the dedicated staff to strengthen and grow our program and be there to support the students and families at the Derry Early Education Program.
Motion to approve all nominations.
We look forward to, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations.
And Janine, we look forward to working with you in that role. So thank you for being here this evening.
We will now move on to policies.
Okay, we have 3 policies for second reading this evening. We have policy IGE, exceptions to use of specific course material. We have policy IKE, promotion and retention, that's second reading, and policy JCA, change of school assignment, best interest and manifest hardship, second reading. So all 3 I move forward for second reading at this time.
Does anyone have any questions on any of the policies?
Motion to approve policies.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We will now move on to our next item, which is the Fiscal Advisory Members' appointment. Mary Ann?
All right, the current incumbents for our Fiscal Advisory Committee stand at 3, and there's 1 open seat. Mr. Gus Kokoza, who has put in an application to return. Dr. John Moody, who is not returning to the Fiscal Advisory Committee. Mr. Glenn Manchester, who is not returning, and then 1 open seat, as we discussed at a prior meeting. So thus, there are 3 positions to be filled outside of Mr. Gus Kokoza, who has reapplied. Mr. Kokoza was the first to apply on May 7th. We have several other applications in order of receipt as follows. Mr. David Clapp, who applied on May 7th, Ms. Erica Leon, who applied on May 21st, Mr. Ken Linehan, who applied on May 26th. So in order of receipt, those would be the 3 seats in order of receipt according to the policy. Do you want me to go on and read the other names?
We welcome the new members of the Fiscal Advisory Committee. The Fiscal Advisory Committee is a critical role helping the school board discuss budgets and discuss what's needed, and how it fits into our budget. So we look forward to meeting with you all. If you'd all like to stand up if you're here, we will welcome you.
So I do want to say that we had 7 names presented in addition to Mr. Kokoza, who reapplied.
So we were especially excited that it was great to see so much interest in the committee. It's always great when we have more interest than we can have, because that shows the committee's invested and people want to be involved, which is wonderful. So we look forward to everyone's participation this fall. The next item on our agenda is the summer board meeting schedule.
I have a proposal for the summer board meeting schedule or school board calendar for this coming summer. I have a proposal to meet on July 13th, as you see in attachment D, August 17th, and August 31st.
Do any board members have questions about the summer schedule? Do we need a vote of approval, Mary Ann?
Yes, I prefer that.
Could I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the summer schedule as announced by the superintendent.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Our next item is the superintendent's update.
All right, good evening again. We continue to monitor enrollment for the 21-22 school year, in particular grade 5 at Ernest P. Barca and kindergarten and grade 4 at South Range. Grade 4 at South Range continues to be over by 2 total, therefore 2 sections of 26 each at this time. Families of students who have been homeschooled this year are encouraged to notify the superintendent's office at 432-1210 if they intend to re-enroll students in our K-8 schools for the 21-22 school year. We look forward to a wonderful 21-22 school year for all students and a much cooler ending to this school year than these past 2 days have been. On behalf of our entire district, we wish each of our students a wonderful and safe summer, filled with happiness and fun experiences. As a reminder, the last day of school for students in grade 8 is Thursday, June 10th. And the final day of for students in pre-kindergarten through grade 7 is Friday, June 11th. Congratulations to our 8th grade students from Gilbert H. Hood Middle School and West Runnybrook Middle School, whose promotion ceremonies will be held on Wednesday and Thursday nights of this week. We wish you the very best as you move on to high school and know that your perseverance will take you far in life. Special congratulations are also extended to our high school graduates of Pinkerton Academy, who graduated last evening, and Next Charter School, who will graduate on Wednesday, June 16th. All of our high school graduates should be extremely proud of their accomplishments, particularly in light of the most challenging times that they've faced. And we wish you the very best as you pursue your dreams beyond high school. So to our retirees, and I think I've really said most of it already, our 19 retirees in the Derry Cooperative School District have been honored this evening. These educators' years of collective service to our students and families are greatly appreciated, admired, and valued. We'll miss each of you and wish you the very best of luck in the future. Though you deserve much more than tonight, what we had to do in a simple and safe way, we demonstrated our thanks and appreciation for all that you have done on behalf of our children and families of Derry and our entire community. Your final year plus of retirement was not what you expected or ever could have predicted, yet know that your students will always remember the lasting impact that you had on not only their minds, but most importantly, on their hearts. So again, thank you to all our retirees. I know some of you went home and watched, I'm sure, and some of you probably haven't made it home yet. So at this point, the final part of my superintendent's report is one which Dr. Garofalo and I will now co-present the vision of the 21-22 reopening plan, the final portion of tonight's superintendent's report. And to preface this, this is just a vision of what we have for our reopening plan. This isn't by no means finished. This is, again, just the preface of the vision of what we have for our reopening plan. As I go through, and Dr. Garofalo goes through, you will realize that this is a plan in working form, and we will bring to light some of the details, certainly not all of them. As we know, plans change really on a dime. We get new advice and certainly new things coming down from the state and new recommendations come down from the state all the time. So with that in mind, I'd like to begin by thanking Jane Boyle, Dr. Cliff Dancy, Dr. Austin Garofalo, Kathy Kennedy, Justin Krieger, Lisa Long, Jane Samard, Dr. Sarah Taylor, and nurse team leader Sue Linehan for really spending so much time and developing the reopening plan thus far. and we will continue the process, and I really emphasize the word process, of completing the plan, which is due to the New Hampshire Department of Education on June 23rd, by gathering input from families, staff, and other stakeholders from the Derry community. The school board will be requested to vote in the final version of the plan on June 22nd at the next school board meeting. So we'll keep in mind the timelines. June 22nd will be requested to be the vote, and June 23rd is the latest date that this plan is due to the Department of Education. As we are well aware from the 2019-2020 and the 2020-21 school years, conditions require and continue to change. And with that knowledge, we as a district remain responsive to those changes in our plans.
Good evening, everyone. So we also need to thank our superintendent, Dr. Mary Ann Connors-Krikorian, who has led this whole process and kept us on task and on schedule. So the reopening plan for the 2021-2022 school year, as Mary Ann said, is still in the process of being written. Tonight, we're just providing a brief overview of some of the general areas, which include all facilities will be fully open for on-site learning. Medically compromised students will be accommodated through the 504 process or the IEP team process. Visitors and volunteers will be back in our schools at full capacity with face coverings at this time. Facilities will be reopened for use by outside organizations, which we believe is a very positive step for our school and for our community.
So we have a slide about district priorities, and I'll go through these again. We were determined district priorities by the input from stakeholders in the survey that was sent out in May. In our district priorities, we recognize that students need additional social and emotional support. We will continue connections with our community mental health providers, such as Community Health Services, Center for Life Management, Upper Room, just to name a few. In fact, we have calls in with some of these providers now, and I'm on one of the boards, and so we continue to have ongoing connections with these providers, and will do so on a continuous basis. Provide ongoing staff professional development learning on a variety of topics to include, but not limited to, anxiety and depression in children and adolescents, resilience and coping strategies, self-care strategies, and the core competencies for social emotional learning. At the last school board meeting, you heard a wonderful presentation with our counselor team leaders, one of our elementary and one of our middle school counselor team leaders. And I think a lot of what was necessary to be said was said at that meeting. And they do a wonderful job. All of our counselors do a wonderful job. And so with that being said, that is in part of our social emotional learning support, yet not all. And certainly we need more, and that is our intention. Our nurses also do a wonderful job, our school psychologists, our teachers, and our entire staff, as well as our connection to families. Yep, Richard.
So another district priority, unfinished learning, or on the survey that we sent out, it was interrupted learning. We will use our NWEA measures of academic progress, the New Hampshire state assessment, Fontes and Pinnell, teacher-generated assessments. We will be meeting during the summer with our subject committees to discuss the areas of unfinished and interrupted learning. The summer learning path will focus on, first and foremost, math and literacy, as well as we're adding a social emotional well-being piece and a movement activity piece. And just-in-time learning path with a continued focus on math and literacy will be offered come the fall before and or after school. Technology. We have already, and we will continue to, provide all pre-kindergarten through grade 8 students with a computing device. We will allow students to take devices home as necessary. The real young students may have their computing devices mostly in school, but when we think there might be a remote day due to weather or whatever, we would have them bring those home. And the middle to older kids will be taking them home pretty much every day. And we will continue to provide ongoing professional learning for the teachers and for the staff to extend their technology skills and work on areas that they need more expertise in.
So another of the district priorities that was requested and spoken to in the survey that was sent home is that surrounding and involving health and safety, including face coverings, social distancing, and nurse protocols. So health and safety continues to be an ongoing priority on which we will focus. So at the time of the writing of this plan, face coverings will be required inside school facilities unless accommodations are necessary. And I stress at the time of the writing of this plan. Face coverings may be removed when greater than 6 feet of distance can be consistently maintained and monitored during stationary indoor classroom learning. Face coverings will need to be on during any movement within the classrooms, hallways, bathrooms, and other common areas. Following guidance from New Hampshire DHHS, New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Service, and our local health experts, adjustments will be made to the requirement for face coverings while inside classrooms as recommended. And that's an important piece of guidance and to be followed at all times. And for example, on Wednesday, the guidance from New Hampshire DHPS, New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, changed about the wearing of masks in the outdoor setting. So immediately that changed for the Derry Cooperative School District. So that word, following guidance from the New Hampshire DHHS and our local health experts, and according to adjustments will be made, that's an important statement right now, and that is just in our framework, and that is also in our plan. That will also be in our plan. Face coverings will be optional for students when outside, as they are now, and continue health and safety protocols based on the most current guidance. And we really do look to and follow the most current guidance. Our nurse team leader here tonight, Susan Linehan, is a wealth of knowledge, and the most current guidance is really followed, and because of a lot of her knowledge and a lot of reading that we do, and a lot of upkeep with our local health experts too. So again, that's important and very, very important and critical information to keep in mind. Additional considerations that we will address in our reopening plan are as follows. Transportation, operations, communication, child nutrition, and funding. And those areas will be addressed in our plan as well, in our reopening plan. Just to note, our reopening plan will not be nearly as extensive as which it was last year. It's a much simpler version of our reopening plan this year. So in closing, the final plan will be presented to the board at the June 22nd school board meeting for a vote from the board. The final plan is due to the New Hampshire DOE, as I said, on June 23rd. By Friday evening, June 11th, the link to the draft reopening plan will be posted on the Derry Cooperative School District website with a brief survey feedback form. The turnaround time for feedback will be brief, since the final plan needs to be included as part of the June 22nd school board materials. And that's an important part to note, is that the feedback time for the public will be brief because of the necessity to then take the feedback, synthesize the feedback, and then assimilate that feedback into the final version of the plan. And that's basically our brief vision of our 21-22 reopening plan. As I said, much less extensive than last year, However, it is a mandate that we get this in by June 23rd, and we wanted to give you a framework of the initial writing of it this evening.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? So there's a lot of echo in the room, so it's just a little hard to hear. Did I hear you correctly that you're saying face coverings can be removed when people are 6 feet apart, or did I mishear that? There was a bit of an echo in the room.
I'm sorry, the question?
That you could, when you were 6 feet apart, you could remove face coverings, did you say that? Okay.
Yes.
And then you mentioned something else about face coverings optional, but I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
Outdoors, as they are now.
Outdoors, okay.
Outdoors as they are now, that will remain in the plan, and face coverings are optional if outdoors. But if you're 6 feet apart or greater, those in a stationary setting, and I believe that's the phrasing, Susan Linehan can address me, can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it says, during stationary indoor classroom learning. So if students are 6 feet apart like the mask breaks, if they're stationary indoor classroom learning, masks can come off at that time. It's just in the passing that, they need to be put back on if students aren't more than 6 feet or more apart at this time, according to the guidance. Now, as we know, that guidance can change. The last health partners call for the year, from my understanding, is next Wednesday with the healthcare partners from the state epidemiologist, Dr. Chan.
Do any members of the board have any questions or input?
The only question I would have is, so I know that the plan is due by June 23rd. If guidance changes after June 23rd and before the beginning of the school year, am I to assume that that plan would also be able to be changed by then as well, correct?
Correct. I believe, Jonathan, that your question was if the guidance changes and the plan's already in, will the plan change accordingly? Yes. Mm-hmm. And I believe one of the suggestions too, Jessica, I think yours was, can you have an archived version? We've already put that into our plan too, although it's not in here tonight, that would be part of the archived version. So the older, I don't want to say the older, but the initial plan would perhaps say, I'm giving you a hypothetical scenario, right? The hypothetical scenario would be if we had to start with masks or face coverings in the classroom, if you're not 6 feet apart, if you're in a stationary, if you're not in a stationary mode. And then that guidance may change, and hypothetically speaking, August 15th. I don't even know what day that is. So then our plan would change, and then the archive version would remain, yet that new version would supersede the archive version. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else have any questions? Any board members? Derek?
Marianne, I know this is discussing next year, but are there plans or guidelines for the summer programs?
Yes. You want to speak to that, Austin? The summer guidance. Or Jane, do you want to speak to that? The summer guidance? It's basically the same.
Part of my problem is I've been a drummer all my life, and I think the cymbals in the ears have just sort of got to the brain. I'm not hearing very well, so I apologize.
It's the summer guidance. Summer guidance for our programs. Summer guidance for our programs. The guidance for our summer programs, yep.
Sorry about that. So
It's basically the same.
we are going, Sue Linehan's been keeping, our nurse team lead has been keeping us updated as she talks with Dr. Chan from the state and talks with Chris Peterson, our consulting physician, and people on the health task force that we deal with, and we've been getting updates all along. And as of right now, we're going with what Marianne talked about in this health and safety section, which was outside, no masks, inside, when people are traveling around and moving, because when they're in the hallways, they're basically shoulder to shoulder. It's hard to keep kids apart and so forth and so on. They have masks on. If they are in the classroom and they can be more than 6 feet apart, and we expect with the summer program, we'll be able to spread kids out a decent amount so that they can have, even though they're in the classroom now, as long as they can be 6 feet apart or more, which we'll even have situations that they'll be able to take off their masks even though they're inside the school. So that's why we're where we are at now. And this could, Sue keeps giving us updates, and this could change, and it could become more lenient by the time we come back to school. And as Mary Ann said, this is a live document that we'll keep updating. And even as the summer program goes along, if we get different guidance, we will change accordingly. But as of right now, while they're moving about, face masks, but if they're in the classroom and we can spread them out 6 feet or more, and when they're outside, they don't wear masks. Am I correct on that, Sue?
And just
Right.
to add to that, if, as Austin just said, if things should change during the summer and we need to adjust, obviously we'd be going to our health experts and we'd be tapping into Sue Linehan and our health experts to see how we might change things as conditions change.
Thank you. Marianne, just again to clarify, did you say that the initial final report would be at the next board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and that deadline of June 23rd is a hard deadline for the New Hampshire Department of Education. So that's why, right now, we have to make decisions based on a moment in time, right? And that guidance could, hypothetically, again, change in the health partners call next Wednesday. It could or it couldn't. There's a 50-50 chance. And if it does, that would give us time to change this plan. If it doesn't, we would maintain the health and safety guidelines that are now in the plan. They're more extensive in our plan. They'll be more extensive. This is just a framework right now, because we're putting together the entire plan. And if it does, we change along with the health guidance from DPHS.
Do any other members of the board have any questions? If not, Mary Ann, do you want to move on to the next item of your report?
Sure. That's business administrator. I'm finished with superintendent's report. That was the last item on the superintendent's report. So Ms. Samard is not here tonight. She is not feeling well, and I asked her to stay home. We need her to take care of herself. There is a manifest. Is that correct? Somebody has a manifest. Okay.
You're all set.
Do you have a manifest?
So we will now move on to committees manifest.
Yes, to the board, I'd like to make a motion to approve manifests in the amount of $2,595,000, $310.98, of which general payroll is $2,469,061.00. General payroll is $126,249.92. That completes reading the motion. Calls for a second, please.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Are there any other committee reports? If not, we will move on to FYI. In your packet, you have a June 1st enrollment report. The next item is delegations and individuals. I will ask, in the interest of heat and time, that everyone please come up to the microphone if you have something to say. You do have 3 minutes. I ask that you be concise and please don't repeat what someone else has said so that we have a chance to hear what everyone has to say. When you do come up to the microphone, we also ask that you give your name and your address for the record.
Hi, I'm Bruce Kling for Village Brook Lane. A couple of things. First, with the budget sessions in the fall, I'd like the school board and school admin to think of a different way or a different format for them. If in 2 years ago and 3 years ago, we had to add another session, and last year we were making decisions at the last session and the public hearing. It became clear that several members were uncomfortable with that, so hopefully, I don't know what the answer is, but maybe think of either starting earlier or bunching them closer together, I don't know, but if you can think about that. And then the second thing, I'd just like to thank John Moody for his contributions to the Fiscal Advisory Committee. Certainly, I appreciated his input. I know the district letter that I've written was softer and more tactful with his input, so I'm going to miss him, and I just want to thank him for everything that he did. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Merrow, 24L Bryan Ave. I have 2 kids at South Range, and I'm just here to address the mask mandates in the school. First off, I think we can all agree, we all just want to be safe and healthy. Everyone has the same goal. We're all alike in that respect. The issue is there are many different opinions and methods on the best way to achieve that goal. But we can all agree on one thing. Our goal is the same: health and safety for everyone. With that said, here is my opinion on how to achieve that without locking everyone indoors forever with a mask on their face. The mask mandates put in place by the state of New Hampshire never included kids and staff in grades K through 12. They were always exempt. There were recommendations put in place for schools, but ultimately, our state leaders left it up to each district to make these decisions. Guidelines and recommendations should not equate to mandates, especially where it pertains to young, developing children. We're currently asking our children to protect us from getting sick, but most of the teachers have already been vaccinated, and children aren't vulnerable to COVID complications. It is our job to protect our children, not the other way around. By now, those adults that are worried about COVID have access to a vaccine. Why do our children still need to wear masks for 8-hour days in a hot, stuffy classroom? They're social creatures. Their immune systems get stronger by coming in contact with other people and germs. The precaution of masks and distancing have been in place due to the fallacy of asymptomatic transmission. For a child to be sick enough to infect someone while also not showing symptoms is nearly impossible. Since when are kids sick until proven unhealthy? Or healthy, that is. Healthy people do not spread the disease. Healthy people do not need to be masked. These same kids are getting together daily outside of school at sports sleepovers and playing together, all without masks. Many schools in the country and in our state have dropped mandates and have had 0 outbreaks or even transmission. I myself play basketball weekly with a bunch of sweaty older men, sweat all over us, no masks, we're all fine. We will never be completely free of COVID, but our numbers in New Hampshire are extremely low. Let's put our kids first. Here's what it comes down to. I don't think we no longer need to be as cautious as we were over the past year and a half. Numbers are looking better. We have the vaccine for those worried about this situation. Restaurants, businesses, recreation, just about everything now doesn't require masks. Let's not make our kids suffer for 8 hours a day. In regards to that, social and emotional well-being, I think, would also be greatly helped by removing the masks. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name's John Clark. I live at 133L Hampstead Road. So my question is basically what the gentleman prior to me was asking. You guys are the most educated people in this town. You guys are supposed to teach our children science, math, right? Why are we not using science to make these determinations for our children? Children do not have the viral load to spread it. How many cases, I'm going to ask this question to the school board, how many cases of child-to-child COVID happened in our school district this year? I don't think any, did they? But we're living like our children are lepers. That you guys here, all of you, you're not using science. Like you said earlier, if you're sick, you don't come to these meetings. If you're sick, you don't go to school. Why are all of you 6+ feet apart when either you're vaccinated or you're not sick? It's Orwellian, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing for people like myself that I'm a veteran of this country, okay? It's disturbing for a doctor to be sitting here not using science, not using their education that they're supposed to teach my children with. But you're not that bright. I apologize, but I believe you guys have made some horrible decisions. You guys have never used science to make any of your determinations. You've just enacted knee-jerk reactions. What does that get you? Nothing. Knee-jerk reactions are useless. this is what we have here. I think you guys need to lift the mask mandate. I think everybody here is pretty supportive. If you want your kid to wear the mask, let them wear the mask. If you don't send them to school with a mask. It's our choice. My body, my choice, regardless of sex, correct? Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kristen Leaning. I'm here with my husband, Ryan Fawcett. We live at 7 Harvest Drive. We have a 17-year-old daughter at Pinkerton, and we have a 6-year-old son at East Derry Elementary that is finishing up 1st grade. And we are here tonight as concerned parents who have watched our children struggle over the past 2 years, both educationally and emotionally in the Derry school system. We understand in the beginning of the pandemic, the school district did the best they could with implementing restrictions and mandates to keep our children safe, with the very little we knew about COVID-19 and its effects on children. Since March 2020, we have learned a lot about the virus. We know that COVID has a 99.998% survival rate in children and a 99% plus survival rate in adults all the way up to 69. We know that the virus, for the most part, does not significantly affect children, and in most cases, when children get it, they handle it very well. Not one child in the state of New Hampshire has died of COVID-19 since the beginning of the pandemic. Not one. Our governor did a fantastic job rolling out the vaccine, and at this point, any adult who wanted could have gotten it by now. Our state and the world are opening back up. Mask mandates are being lifted, sporting events and concerts are resuming at full capacity, and we are able to go into stores mask-free. If we can do all of that, why can't our children sit at their desks and learn without being masked up? We are here tonight to ask you to unmask our children for next year. There is no data that supports them wearing masks at school any longer. My son, who is 6 years old, 1st grade, has suffered from skin infections, social anxiety, where when he passes people on the street now, he yells at me to hold my breath. He's falling behind in school due to masks. He struggles with speech. He has since he was a toddler, and he's having a very hard time learning to read because he can't sound out the words and he can't see how his teacher forms the words in her mouth. So he is falling behind, and we have to get him a tutor now. So he's not prepared for 2nd grade. Some school districts are writing in a mask or a vaccine mandate into their reopening plans for next year. We ask that you do not do that. Please follow the lead of Manchester, Windham, and other school districts who are letting parents make mask and medical decisions for their own children. I personally received the vaccine myself, and so did my husband. We vaccinate our kids for diseases that are in fact dangerous to them. I will not be vaccinating my child for COVID-19 with an untested experimental vaccine for a disease that is not dangerous to him, without any substantial long-term outcome data that will assure me that there are no negative side effects down the road. So we urge you to make masks and vaccines parents' choice in the 2021-2022 school year. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. My name is Elizabeth LaFosse. I live at 7 Trent Road here in Derry. I came here tonight with the intention of throwing a list of facts and statistics and a lot of what the previous speakers had already brought forth to you this evening. But really, I'm here today to honor our children's medical freedoms. Masking our children has proven over the last 15 months to be emotionally damaging to some, medically damaging to some, and as another mother just mentioned, psychologically damaging. There comes a point in this pandemic where adults are walking around, no mask, vaccinated, not vaccinated. We're doing what we think is best for ourselves and our families. Come this fall, my daughter, who will be a young 6-year-old just as school starts, is scheduled to be enrolled in the public Derry system. We did have her registered last year for full-day kindergarten that my husband and myself voted for when we had our special election. Due to last year's school board and the decisions that were made and the feeling of contempt many parents had regarding not hearing a lot of our concerns with some children that physically have issues with masking, mentally have issues with masking. A lot of those issues have manifested throughout this year, and as I saw tonight, we have some social and emotional well-being plans that are being put forth, but none of it mentions the choice for the student to do what's best for them, and then also what is best for their parents and their extended family. Going forward, myself, I am choosing not to vaccinate. I understand this is not a discussion right now. We have not gone forward with this regarding the reopening plan, but as a mother of a 5-year-old daughter, I have legitimate concerns that just have not been scientifically answered yet regarding these vaccines. It's not fair to go forward with a possible reopening plan that says children need to be masked. It gives the impression that they are still diseased. They are a danger to society. They're a danger to their parents, their grandparents, teachers, administrators. They're a danger to everyone. And the science tells us now that that is not the case. Their viral load is low. New Hampshire has had very little minor infections, no deaths. And I would implore the school board this evening in regards to masking students to please consider parental and student choice for masking come fall. My young 6-year-old has gotten to a point where she fakes having asthma like one of her friends in school who has an exemption because she physically cannot concentrate, breathe, or learn in her mask. When we have gone out in public after much of the pandemic had subsided, she was fearful if she saw someone without a mask on. She thought she was going to get sick. Going forward, we adjusted with that mentally, but there's still repercussions in children all over this town that are not being discussed. And I would just like the school board to accommodate our discussion and our wanting for medical choice for our children. Those that want to wear the mask, please do. No one is saying, take your mask off, no mask for anyone. That's not the goal. The goal here is to give our children grace, respect the hardships they have gone through these last 15 months. They were forced to be resilient to a life that none of us have ever lived. And I don't think it's fair that with adults being able to do whatever they like, we still sit here and tell our children, you could be diseased, you need to wear a mask. I implore the school board tonight to seriously consider this, consider parents all over this town, and possibly send out a survey regarding mask choice. I feel there may be an overwhelming response regarding the want for choice and not the want for mandates.
You have 15 seconds, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, everyone. Have a nice evening.
We're still going to take public comment. I just do want to remind people that this is a living document, that these decisions are not final. We will continue to reevaluate them as our medical advisors and the science keeps evolving. We will be keeping on top of it, but we're telling you now what we know now based on the advice we've been given by the Department of Health and Human Services, our medical advisors, and the CDC. Just a reminder.
Hi, my name's Caitlin Clark. I also live at 133 L Hampstead Road. Closer? Okay. I came just to say that as a parent of a child that is my child, I have the right to make decisions for them. I don't want to take away anyone's right to have them wear a mask or not wear a mask. I'm very encouraged by the fact that you've now decided, or the school board has decided, to follow the within 6 feet. If you're 6 feet apart, you can take your mask off. That has been kind of a guideline since about a year ago, And I know that that can't be made all the time, but even outdoors recently, the mask coming off, it's like, why wasn't it sooner? They were outside playing in different, my child goes to East Derry Elementary. I know that there's a few different, I call them factions for, we eat in the gym, we eat in our classroom, or we, eat in the cafeteria. We rotate between 2 playgrounds in the sitting area. And all that's very wise. They still get outside, they get fresh air, they get exercise. I'm glad you're thinking outside the box. For the mask to be mandated, I'm wondering if you guys will be providing those. It's very clear in the information that just came out in the last week and has been going forward through OSHA. CDC does infectious disease, OSHA does, and OSHA is there for workers. As a nurse, I really appreciate OSHA. But these masks, these paper masks, do work well. If you fill this with water, it will hold it. It will hold it. The difficulty with this is, as a nurse, I wear these all day long, and as soon as they get damp or in any way soiled, whether it's sweat, it's excessively breathing, and you feel the moisture in it, the guideline is to take it off. Prior to COVID, you wore this for every single time that you went into a patient's room who required it. That patient was either isolated or with someone with the exact type of disorder, and you threw it in the trash. If you had to leave and go get them a glass of drink or something like that, let's say. And then when you go back in, you have to have a new mask because that thing's contaminated. You've come in contact or possibly come in contact with someone. So for the mask to just be a filter over your face and collect debris all day long, specifically not being medical, I do have an issue with that. I am someone who sends my daughter with a massive Ziploc baggie of lots of masks, and she has no problem going through more than one, especially in the heat. I'm here. I would also like to give you kudos also. I like hearing about you identifying issues with the kids, especially the emotional ones that I'm hearing. I truly cannot say that my daughter's having any emotional issues with the mask. She is getting like little facial breakouts, and her pediatrician says that's likely because she's not washing her face after, like, say, eating a sandwich, and then she puts it back on. Maybe she takes it off and scratches her face, whatever, but it traps. And we all have our natural flora, we all have a natural bacterial, it's called flora, sorry, on your body. My thing is just that no one's here telling me that my kid has to be washed every day and we're gonna do like a swab on the side of their face. No one's asking my kid to walk a certain amount of time a day or distance because that's what's healthier for them. I love the programs, again, for getting outside and getting active and better nutrition. I think that those are things we can always improve on at home, at school. But it's my choice to mask my child or not. And we certainly did at the beginning of the pandemic. We don't outside of school at all. And I don't mean to be like, I know I'm probably speaking on a lot of people that are not here, but they're just hordes of kids that are walking out of East Derry Elementary with other moms, dads, their neighbors, and they're all shoulder to shoulder, just a corner up the road. It is a behavioral thing that you're trying to control in school, but I'm finding I just don't really see the reasoning behind it.
Okay, 15 seconds, please.
Thank you. As a parent, I have a choice. So people who want to wear a mask, please feel free to, and get a vaccination. Wear your mask while you're vaccinated. But no, I don't want other people telling me to mask my child for the greater good. No. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Oh. Sue, did you want to? Oh, okay.
Hi, thank you. Lynn Bonifant, 11 Cove Drive in Derry. I'm just here to make a statement. I appreciate everybody that's come forward. Those are all my concerns. I kept my kids out of the public school system. They were supposed to start kindergarten this year at the Barker, and the reason I did so was because of all the mandates. They go to a private kindergarten. There is no social distancing, there is no masks, and there is no outbreaks. So I ask that our kids stay unmasked going into the school year. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'll be quick, and I really do appreciate. I wish I could look back, you know, at all parents who advocate for their children. Absolutely, I give you big kudos for doing that. You know, throughout this pandemic, as we all know, we've worked hard as a team to make sure we keep our kids as healthy and safe as possible. And we've always followed the recommendations, like you said, of the Department of Public Health in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, they take CDC's recommendations, they whittle them down, and they see what works best for our state. They have asked us through the end of this year to continue with the back-to-school K-12 guidelines, correct, you know, which will end on the last day of school for us. And so that's when we are looking forward and for the recommendations from Dr. Chan and Dr. Talbot and his team so that we can adopt those the minute those recommendations change. As evidenced by last week, I was on a meeting at 3:30 and he put up a slide saying, so we've made the decision that, you know, that it's safe for kids not to wear their masks outside. We communicated, and by 6 o'clock that night, that was changed. We will continue to do that over the summer and watch those recommendations. And it is a joyous day to say nobody has died and no children have died in New Hampshire. It is absolutely wonderful. And that our transmission in school has been essentially very nil between children in particular. And is that because it is true that their viral shed is lower, but is it because of all of the layers of protection that we had on at the height of the pandemic? I'll finish up quickly by saying that we will follow Dr. Chan's things. We have changed it for the summer because I specifically asked him a question and got his answer in his voice on Thursday. He answered me out loud on the meeting on Thursday about distancing, and he said if kids are stationary and 6 feet apart, they can have their masks off. We are continuing to do mask modeling here because it is still required for our kids in school. So, you know, a lot of adults will, you know, model for kids because it's still required for them. I also want to just make a brief comment on vaccinations. Vaccinations are not, is a state requirement. It is nothing that the Derry Cooperative School District would ever advocate for the Derry Cooperative School District to mandate. If the state mandates 4 polio shots, then that's what's required to come in school, and that is nowhere on the table as far as I've heard at any meeting that vaccination will be mandated for children. So I just wanted to reassure people of that too. But we are hoping, in our best hope of hope, that we will continue. We're now in the minimal transmission. In the state, we have 70% of our population vaccinated. We're hoping that every time that the new recommendations come out, that we can peel back some of these layers. And I agree, it's wonderful seeing the kids' smiling faces out at recess. And we just have to a little bit stay the course, and hopefully at the end of the summer, things will continue to look this good and things will look better. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Hi, my name's Colleen Breyer. I live on Sunset Ave. I'm going to be short. I mostly have a question. So at the beginning of last summer, you guys were talking about having them be able to take their masks off at their desks, where they're all stationed apart from each other, all facing the same direction. And that sounded like a great plan, and then all these other people came down and bullied you into changing your stance on that. And my question is, do you have a number of the transmission in the state, or like something like that, where you're going to decide when you could do that? Like, to me, it's crazy that they can't take their mask off at their desks if they're all facing the same direction and they're 5 or 6 feet
To
apart.
answer your question, it's not a number. We're following the state guidance. So when the state guidance changed for next year saying if kids are 6 feet apart, they can have a mask off when they're at their desk, since that guidance changed, we're following that guidance.
But you do know that it's not law. Guidance isn't law. Like, you know, it's not the law. It's guidance, and it just doesn't make any sense. And it's detrimental to these children. I went and did the PTA breakfast at South Range School, and I knew that the kids are separated, like she said, in factions or whatever, where half the kids go to lunch in the cafeteria, half stay back. Sure, that sounds great. I walk into the cafeteria and I'm horrified at what I see is now it's individual desks all facing the same way, 6 feet apart. It looked so institutionalized. I was moved to tears, and I was like, how am I even, I'm just finding this out in May that it looks like this in the cafeteria. I assumed that we'd have tables and maybe one kid sits here, one kid sits here. That is so disturbing that I saw that, and that these kids have had to deal with this all year long. And wet masks. I came in here within 10 minutes at 7 o'clock at night. I showed up late. My mask was soaking wet and I couldn't even breathe within like 10 minutes. And these kids have been there all day long, outside wearing masks until like the other day. Come on. It's ridiculous. And the worst part, I think, is the emotional well-being of the children. I have a beautiful daughter who's now afraid to even take her mask off because she doesn't want people to see her face. Okay? We're talking about preteens, teenagers. They're already self-conscious, and now you've had them wearing a mask for 2 years. You want to do it another year. What are we doing? It's ridiculous. You really need to think about it and look around and see. You go into Market Basket, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. You don't have to wear a mask anywhere. And it's wrong to have the kids doing this and keeping them 6 feet apart at the same time. They can't even play on the playground. They're always getting yelled at. 6 feet, even with their mask on, it's 80 degrees. Come on. I think that's it.
Hello, my name is Ryan Fawcett. I'm from 7 Harvest Drive in Derry. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you, and specifically, I won't take much time on data and other things to support, I think, what this crowd is here to talk about, which is letting, parents have choice with regards to the mask. I just want to bring up sort of a key fact. And I'm looking around at the committee members and wondering how many of you folks have a medical grade mask on? It's a very simple.
Sir, could you repeat that?
How many of you folks have a medical grade mask on right now? Okay. We had a nurse that came up and talked about mask efficacy. Okay. This is a useless thing after it's been soiled with moisture, after it's been infected or come in contact, okay? As soon as a student puts their hand on it and touches their eyes, their ears, or anything, they're now infecting themselves, okay? It is not an ethical thing to mandate masks on our children for an entire school day, period. Secondly, a very poignant point is, there is nothing in that mandate that says it has to be a medical grade mask. Have you seen the masks that these children are wearing? They're cloth. They're almost see-through, okay? This is a false narrative that's been pushed, okay? I understand. I mean, we didn't know much a year ago. The data's in, right? We know that the children are not affected by this disease. We know that there's a very small segment who have comorbidities and should be sheltered. And their parents should have the right to do what they need to do, including mask wearing. But for our healthy children, the masks do not make any sense. And I understand you're going by guidance. The guidance will hopefully change. But I really, really implore you folks to make the stance now that other school districts have, which makes it optional and up to the parents on what they will do with mask wearing next year. Okay, I'm a Derry resident. I grew up in Londonderry. You can imagine how hard it was for me to move to town, given I was a Lancer, okay? I don't want to have to make the choice to leave this town. My daughter is a junior at Pinkerton. She came through East Derry, came through this school, and is now at Pinkerton. I think folks do a wonderful job. She was extremely successful. But this is not the right choice to be making, not in a formal way for your submission on the 23rd. So please rethink this, given some real facts and some real guidance. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Alina Weymouth, and I want to address something that Sue had said about following the state guidelines, and also something that was mentioned about changing on a dime if necessary. Other states, like other cities, I apologize, like Manchester have dropped their mask mandate currently. Why can't we do that? I will wait for an answer. Why can't we do that?
We are following the guidance of
Manchester dropped it. Why can't we do that? Why can't Derry do that?
I can't speak to Manchester because I don't know the guidance we follow, but I would remind people, because it is getting late and it's getting hot, if we want to hear everyone's comments, but I can't give you an answer because I don't know the specifics of Manchester.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's required of the state that you have to follow these guidelines, so Derry doesn't have to either. Why are we doing this then? Why can't we make it optional?
So, Chair, if I may, for just a second, I think I'd like to emphasize your points. The audience may think that we are, we may have one opinion or another, and we're still waiting for answers, but this isn't a time for derogatory input. I'm as interested in some of your input that you have produced, and but just to understand, we're looking for something constructive here, and getting ready for 2 weeks from now. If you could keep that perspective, I'd appreciate that. And I think the chair also requested that we don't get repetitive. We're interested in the points, but we'd like to move on through the
I'd like an answer in the next meeting, please. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Jenna Paradise. Do I have to give my address? Hubbard Hill? Okay. My kids have been remote up until March. They were fully remote, and we were told in the beginning of the year, we didn't like the policies and we didn't like the spacing, that we had an option and we needed to adjust. And then come March, everyone went in hybrid, and if we didn't like the spacing and the policies, then we had an option and we needed to adjust. And then finally, when things looked a little bit better and the numbers got better and the spacing was a little bit better and the mask policy was still in place, that we could send our kids and adjust. And I'm floored at the point that the whole time that this was going on, I had parents telling me, well, if you don't like the policy that the school has put in place, adjust. Either homeschool or do remote for your kids. And now at that point, these same people are saying, we demand that this go this way. And they're not willing to adjust. So I'm saying that if you guys are following the CDC and you have something in place and you're gonna say that within 6 feet, or if they're outside, they can be masked, or whatever it is that the educated people are saying, then everyone else should just adjust and make do with it. And the other point that I wanted to say is we are setting a terrible example for our kids, where we are saying the egocentric point that we are doing what is best for me and not best for the community. And I realize that's kind of an American way, and we're very egocentric, but I can tell you one thing, my kids have not brought home a cold this year. They haven't brought home norovirus. They haven't brought home anything because of the masks, the hand washing, the spacing. And so something is working. And if we're gonna continue this and we're gonna get the numbers down where they need to be. And the other thing about the mask is that, and saying that the kids' numbers are down, the kids are asymptomatic often. So if they're bringing it and they're getting it and they're bringing it to grandma or they're bringing it to other people who could not vaccinate, we don't know where they got it from. It could very well have been the kids, and we have no idea. So the idea of saying, well, I'm not gonna mask and you should just take care of it, when you're still the one, your kid might still be the one giving it to the other person, is again, very selfish view. So I'm talking, thanks. So I'm going to trust the CDC. I'm gonna trust what you guys are doing. And if my kid has to go into school next year with a mask on, then I'm not going to have them be mentally traumatized, and I'm going to tell them that this is how we're going to deal with it, and they're going to get through it and not crumble, because I'm not going to crumble. We need to be better role models for our children. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a comment that has not already been made? Okay. Call to order, please. Sir, did you have something to say?
I do. My name's Robert Lee. I live at 4 Ford Way. I'd just like to say it's not my responsibility to keep you safe. If you feel like you're in jeopardy, you wear a mask. Thank you.
Okay, this is the last comment. So if has anyone not spoken who wants to speak, because this is the last comment?
Colleen Breyer, Sunset Ave. I just had a thought. So if you're just going on, so you're not following the CDC and you're not really following any of the other signs, but you're only listening to your two experts that you have been using, right? Is there other people in their same field that you could maybe have them collaborate? Because in any field, people have differing opinions. Teachers have different opinions. You guys all have different opinions, right? So if you have two doctors that are on, you know what I mean? They might have one opinion, but if you had a few more doctors in that collaboration, then maybe they would see it the same way as Manchester and Wyndham. Because I live about probably 2 miles from the Wyndham border, maybe less. So I don't understand how it could be so different over there than here. And I work in Manchester with the Manchester school, so I have their germs too, so it's not really going to help. But that's all, just a thought.
So with that, with that, I'm going to close the delegations of individuals. I appreciate everyone that came out today. We always want to hear from all people, and I just want to stress that this is a living document as the advice we get from our different medical experts, and it is not one. It is a number of different experts' changes. We will keep looking at it and reconsider, and at our next meeting, we will be looking at the plan going forward, but even that will be far from final because things could change over the summer. With that, does anyone on the board have any other business? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Erica, I just wanted to say congratulations to the Pinkerton graduates and congratulations to Pinkerton for doing a great job with graduation last night.
Thank you, Brenda, and I was very hasty, and that was a bad miscalculation on my part. We have a lot of people to celebrate this week. There's a lot of very resilient kids that made it through this year. Kids that are moving up to the next grade, kids that are graduating 5th grade, moving to middle school, kids graduating 8th grade, moving to high school, kids finishing their first year of kindergarten. These kids had a tough year, and they were great. And we want to celebrate all of them and looking forward to all their achievements next year. So, and also a thank you to all the staff that have managed a very resilient year with smiles on their faces to help these kids learn. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.